Right, so as I mentioned with my unboxing video that we took a look at a couple of weeks ago, comparing the Mavic Pro 2 with the Mavic 3 Classic, this is just my experience only, and I just wanted to give people out there who are possibly taking a look at either one of these devices a bit of a look at what they are like in a first glance, and also with setting them up as well. So what I'm going to do today is just take a look at a hypothetical setup and what you're doing if you're taking it out for a first flight. If you do want further information in terms of different settings on the Classic 3, all you need to do is just hit those little three dots up the top there. Takes you into your safety menu a little bit more in depth, your control menu a little bit more in depth, camera menu a little bit more in depth, transmission, this is for frequency. This is something that could be really handy if you're flying in a zone that has a lot of different signals that come through. And it's actually a pretty good indicator right now, because I've got two drones sitting here going right next to each other, and you can see that there's interference that's showing as unstable and popping in and out. So what you can actually do is switch bands here from dual band to 2.4 to 5.8, or you can also change your mode to manual as well. So if you do have interference, you might be flying with another drone flyer somewhere, you can actually just switch to manual if you want, and you can slide your settings along and change them very easily from there as well. You can also change the bandwidth as well if you want to do so. So it's pretty handy to be able to do that. And there's the main menu for your about as well. If you wanted to check all your settings, check your updates and all the rest of it as well, it's very easy to do from there. So comparatively speaking, with the Pro 2, it's a very similar thing. You just click the three dots in the top right hand corner, but as I mentioned before, what you're changing in terms of settings, while it's a bit more in depth, it's also a little bit more complicated. So if you are somebody who's not really up to speed with what the Mavic Pro 2 does and what drones in general can do, it may be a little bit difficult for you to actually work a lot of this stuff out. So just bear that in mind if you were happening to take a look at this drone to buy for yourself. But as I mentioned before, there's all your main controller settings. So you've got a lot of access to a lot of different things there. One thing that I do love about the old controller and the old interface is the quick access to your active track and whatnot. However, there are a lot of different things that are in here which I've never used, and I wanted to pare back and simplify. I've never used hyperlapse, even though the new unit does have it. Quick shot, never used it. Point of interest, never used it. Waypoints, never used it. Cinematic mode, tap to fly. There's so many that I've never used. The only thing that I personally use is a active track, but you can only enter that mode while you're in flight, so we can't access it right now. But the Classic 3 also does have active track. Another one of the things I'm really enjoying about the new interface as well is the access that you have here to look at your current footage, which is something that's really, really handy. So you can see if what you've actually captured looks pretty good. You do have a very similar thing on the Mavic Pro 2, which you'll see here. Just hit the playback button there, and you can change between internal storage and SD card. I don't have an SD card actually inserted at the moment, but you can look at all the playback of your footage there as well. And that's basically it really. In a nutshell, there's a few differences between the two. I just wanted to give you a couple of little things which you might notice right off the bat. and differences between the two units when taking them out for their first flight. So when it comes to an initial flight of both of these units, they're actually quite easy to get up and running. They both have a takeoff button, or you can use the sticks to manually launch for both of them. As you can see here with the side-by-side footage, it doesn't really look like there is that much of a difference between both of the units, and that was not really a reason for me switching over from the Mavic Pro 2 to the Mavic 3 Classic. The first of the footages here is on D-Log mode with no color grading, and the second of them is on an auto mode for both of them. And as you can see, both of these sets of footage are pretty good. Alright, well, it's time to get back to the studio now. So now just in terms of packing up the units, the Mavic Pro 2, in terms of folding the drone away, it's quite easy. But one of the things that has been a bit of a pain and something I've never enjoyed doing is trying to get this gimbal cover on. I'm constantly concerned about the gimbal being moved. I'm actually pretty well versed in how to do it now, so it doesn't take me as long as you would usually take to do it. It usually takes quite a bit longer, especially if you're not used to it. Then getting your little prop guards on the top. And as I mentioned in the unboxing video a couple of weeks ago, it's a bit of a pain trying to get the props over those two little guards. But now we've finally got that wrapped up. Then, as with our initial setup, cables, iPads, thumbstick guard. So that's finally away. But as I mentioned in the beginning, you've got a lot more kit to set up and put away with the Mavic Pro 2. But with the 3 Classic, not as complicated. Your controller, basically you just put your thumbsticks away on the back here. But putting away now with the 3 Classic, as I mentioned previously, so much easier now with this new guard. All you need to do, put that over and it's done. So much faster, so much easier. And being that it's just one piece and that covers the whole thing feels just a lot safer and a lot more secure. And anything to make it easier is a good thing as far as I'm concerned. All right, well, that's going to wrap things up for us this week. I didn't want to go too in depth with this, but I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea on what it looks like just to open things up. Once again, thanks for watching. I do appreciate that. And we'll see you next time we get 4 wheels on the road.